Here are 6 hip thrust hacks to help make your life easier and your booty juicier. The first hip thrust hack is knowing where to place your feet. If you don't really know where to place your feet, if it's too far away or if you're too close, try this. Sit right up against the bench, mark out where your knee is, mark an inch away from there. Now place your heel there on both sides. This is an easy hack to help set up your hip thrust. When you fully extend your hips, your knees should be making a 90-degree angle at the top of extension. Ideally, you don't want to be using a small bar when doing a hip thrust because you have to lift it up over top of your hips and then do your thrust. You want to be using the bar with the big plates so you can just roll over top of your body. But if you are using a small bar, instead of sitting up like this where you have to lift the bar onto your hips, do this instead. Stand the bar up close by your hips. Then set yourself up in your hip thrust position. Now you can just flip the bar onto your hips and now you are all set for your hip thrust. Boom. Before I tell you the next 3 hacks, if you want a free glute program, check out the link in the description. There's a free 4-week glute program waiting for you. When you're doing your hip thrust, you want the bench to be just below your armpit. Maybe you've got a short torso and you have to really wriggle up onto the bench before you do your hip thrust. And that can be hard when you've got a lot of weight on your hips. I know this is not very heavy, but hey, it's for the video. So you can try these 2 hacks. You can get a little box and put it underneath your butt. Now this is going to make me higher up on the bench. Now I don't have to wriggle up onto the bench. I'm set to go in my hip thrust position. Boom. But if you don't like this idea, try this one instead. Another alternative, if your bench is too high, you can use an adjustable bench. Make one end a little bit lower so it's around shoulder height. And now I can do my hip thrust on the edge of the bench. Amazing. If you're trying to do a hip thrust and your bench keeps slipping away from you, make sure you try this hack. Get some heavy dumbbells or plates and anchor your bench down. Now I've got some weight behind it and now my bench isn't moving. Oh my gosh, common sense. Alternatively, you can put your bench against the wall. You ain't gonna move anywhere because I can't push this wall over. Look at that, common sense for the win again. Corey, you're just so smart. I know. The next hip thrust hack is if you're using a dumbbell when you're doing a hip thrust. Instead of lifting it on onto your hips and then trying to shimmy your way up onto the bench and then thrusting, try this instead. If you're using a dumbbell, it can be quite heavy to lift it up onto your hips and then get up onto the bench. Yes, I know this is only a 12 kg, I'm just doing a video. Instead, start from the top, lift your dumbbell onto your hips, then you can work your way down into your position while your dumbbell's already on your hips, and then get your feet into position, and now you can do your dumbbell hip thrust. It's much easier to lift from here rather than from the ground and then getting up onto the bench. Not the most important one, but hey, it may help someone. Now the hip thrust gains have been made easier and your booty is popping. If you want to find out 10 bodyweight exercises to help you build muscle, make sure you watch this video up here.